Welcome to ParksCenter for September 25th, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for joining us. We would like you to subscribe to WDWNT TV if you have not already. And, of course, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps people to find us. So tonight, let me introduce our illustrious panel to you. We have with us, of course, Charlie from Disneyland News. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Just great. Miss Kamila, the salty one from our last episode she was on. I hope you're ready to rumble again.
I'm so happy today. Hi, everyone.
Oh, no! No, okay, cool. That'll be great. And, of course, in his favorite spot, our adventurer / explorer, Mr. Pete Carney.
Siva-ko, everyone. It is so great to see you. Happy Sunday. And I'll be the cranky one tonight. Kamila, you could be the nice one.
Thank you, Pete.
That'll work. That'll play. So we're going to start by talking about some Disney Parks news. Then we're going to move to Halloween Horror Nights and give a quick review of that. And then at the end, we're going to have a panel discussion about an article that came out this past week about how Universal is gaining share over Disney. I think there's a lot to talk about there, but so we put it at the end of the show so we can say as much as we can about that. But let's talk about Parks news first. There was a story that came out this week that that someone caught on TikTok, a couple sneaking a little girl into Disney World. And I'm sure you all saw that. Pete's like, yes, we love this. This is great. Ingenuity is still alive and well in America, folks. People are still trying to find new and inventive ways to get over on people. So the video was very interesting because I didn't know what I was looking at when I first saw it. They're pushing the stroller in. And then the cast member kind of looks back a little bit, but she's smiling. And then they follow this couple to Main Street where they pull out almost like a magic trick, a full-size girl, I'm guessing 5 or 6 maybe. Kamila, did you see this video? And come on, you got to have some thoughts on this one.
You know, I feel like I have a lot of mixed thoughts because on the one hand, there's something kind of heartbreaking about the fact that people wanted to go to Disney, but they felt like maybe they just couldn't afford that extra ticket. That's, giving them the benefit of the doubt. But for obvious reasons, Disney cannot allow this. I mean, as soon as they suspected there might have been a literal person tiny person in the bottom of that stroller, of course they had to follow and deal with the situation. We live in a world where you don't know who's in that stroller and you don't know what they're trying to do by sneaking it through, and so it's just not worth it. And I feel like you see so many situations where people are trying to game the system in ways that even if it's not technically illegal, it feels illegal. And it's just, I don't know, we all have to play by the rules. There's so many families that I work with and I price out the cost of a Disney vacation and they'll say, oh, you know what, it's not doable this year, but I'll keep saving for next year. And so I'm thinking about those families that, instead of saying, whatever, I'll do whatever I can to go now, probably more like the rest of us, where, if I can't do it right now, I just have to keep saving and I have to wait. So, you can't game the system. Don't use your children to do it. But this is kind of sad.
Yeah, you know what? When I was looking at this, it never occurred to me about what else could somebody sneak into the park. That is alarming now, thinking about that they didn't have a better check system. Obviously, there's got to be some kind of check system that happens before this, right? Because, well, I guess the girl was probably out of the stroller, and then they went through security, and then before they got to the turnstiles, which is what makes this interesting, that, you get checked at Polynesian, and you may not actually even have to see more security until you get up to the main gates. They've done a good job of arranging that, but that convenience could be causing trouble. Charlie, it's a lot. I feel like they're a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Persnickety? Careful? Judgy at Disneyland? What's the word I'm looking for? Would this happen there?
Yes, it probably would. I'm sure people would try, but I think the difference is in Florida with the very nice scanners, and it's all about the experience, and we want you to have a nice time and everything. And out here, they don't really care. If they had enough cattle prods to go around to all the cast members, I'm sure they would all get them. With this, because it's you could literally just walk in off the street, so they have to be a lot more careful. And you have to go through every bag by hand. And they, even if I have a bag of pins, that's very clearly a bag of pins, they need to check every page every time. And like, you know, I wear this big cowboy hat. Like, I get to know my favorite cast members, and still every time they have to go through it because they have to do their due diligence every time. So I think it's, you know, it's a different world out here where, like, we don't really care if it's an inconvenience. We're going to put you through it anyway. And it doesn't always catch everything, but I think it's a little more thorough than the evolved scanners that they have, you know. Hey, look, I'm in the stroller too.
I know. Isn't that great? Pete, do you have comments on this one? You said you were feeling a little salty tonight.
You know what? I like when everyone follows the rules. I will say that. Out of the gate is that rules are made for a reason. It makes everyone's life a little bit easier, especially in the parks. You should follow the rules. Fill in all that available space. Don't do things you shouldn't do. I know, but this one, it feels good to me a little bit. You guys, I don't know. I feel so bad that I love it. I feel terrible that I love it. But this doesn't really hurt anyone. It doesn't slow down the line. It doesn't take money out of my pocket. It kind of screws over Bob a little bit. I don't know. Follow all the rules. I read this story, and for some reason, I felt like the Grinch reading it, where, like, my frown went into a little bit of a, oh, okay. So I will leave it at that.
Okay.
Follow the rules.
Follow the rules. Follow the rules, but when you don't follow it, you kind of like it a little bit. I gotcha. William K. 99 super chat. OMG, a Pete sighting on ParksCenter. That's worth a super chat. Oh, and the rest of y'all are cool too. Oh, great. Okay. Pete's stealing the show already. Check the time.
No.
Pete's stealing the show already. It's all good. We appreciate you, William K. And thank you so much. And Pete, we appreciate you. Thanks for being here. So
I love being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we save your spot for you. We keep it warm. I don't know if you tune in the rest of the time, but no one sits in that spot. It's always just left open for you.
That's false, because I do tune in. You are a liar. How dare you?
I thought you were going to fall for that one. It's all good. It's all fine. EPCOT's having a 40th birthday. Let's talk about that. It happens. It's this coming Saturday, October 1st. Weird that it's the same date as when Disney World opened up. They must not have known that was going to be a thing. But since we've been knee deep in a 50th anniversary for the entire complex, the 40th anniversary, I wouldn't have expected it to be something huge, but they delivered. I feel like on that, and it's not really something huge. It looks like they've got some merch and some food. Surprise! They do that for everything. I think they did it for Charlie's birthday. New merch and food this year at Disneyland.
We had better merch than this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. I mean, so that's one of the things we've been looking at is that, like, when you get to be like the 40th anniversary, and Charlie, I'm gonna push this one back over to you. Is 40 a big enough deal that they should be doing something bigger? Do we give them a pass because it's been like, it's been the 50th anniversary and they've done all this other celebration? What's your thought?
No, I mean, this is EPCOT. This isn't one of those forgettable parks like Magic Kingdom, who didn't get a whole lot or whatever, all these other little ones. This is the big guy. This is what we need to pay attention to. And even D23 doing their special thing is, the morning is you do your own thing and we're not going to do anything, and then you have a continental breakfast like a Motel 6, and then you also at the end of the day go and do your own thing. So it's a specially ticketed Motel 6 breakfast, and that's their big showing for the biggest Disney fans. Like, it feels almost deliberate. Like, I would almost rather they just don't mention it and be like, oh, we spaced it, sorry, and like move on, rather than do this where it's clear that they really scaled it back a lot. I think EPCOT deserves better than this.
Dude, you have me at Motel 6. I am on board. That's fantastic. That's exciting stuff. Thank you. Jungle Cruiser, Super Chat. What are the odds the hurricane pushes back the opening of Tron to 2024 and the train to 2026? Jungle Cruiser, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Yeah, no, my gosh, no, we can't have that. I don't think so. Let's talk about that in relationship to this big shindig, little shindig that they're putting together on Saturday. And by the way, for the 35th, I was not there, and I don't know if Pete was there. Pete, were you there for the 35th of Epcot?
Of course. Of course.
So we'll talk about, I want to ask you about that in a second, because I had severe FOMO of all the people going, oh man, the 35th was so great. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to miss the 40th. And now I'm hearing, oh, there's going to be a cake. Cool. But there's also going to be a hurricane and Ian, cake. I don't know if I want to go I have plans to be there, Kamila, but you and I were talking a little bit about this before the show, because you're a travel agent with a Vacationeer, and a lot of people are, probably a little scared about this thing happening. By the way that it's trending, it looks like most of it's going to happen on Thursday, Friday. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I want to be a little bit fair to Disney here, because I do feel like once upon a time, years ago, they probably did think about the 40th at least a little bit, as we think about just the overall overhaul that they had planned for Epcot, right? All of the attractions, the Play Pavilion, the Moana, Journey of Water, like they probably thought Epcot was going to be a very different park for the 40th years ago when they started, planning some of these updates that were announced at the last D23, not the most recent one. And so obviously the pandemic hits, obviously the park shut down, obviously they lose revenue for, a year, over a year in the case of Disneyland. And so that probably threw a huge wrench in things, and probably, I don't know, dampen the spirit for anything that they might have thought about doing for Epcot. But I agree with Charlie completely. I think Epcot is such a unique park. I think we should celebrate it every day and every year. But I do think milestone birthdays count. And I do think 40 should be considered a milestone birthday. But Disney, in true recent Disney fashion, what are they giving us? Some food and some merch. And that's kind of sad, but I also just can't help but think about maybe what this could have been if the parks weren't closed for a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You're giving them a little bit more credit than I would in this case about the whole COVID thing, because I really honestly feel like that excuse has kind of left the building at this point. But Pete, you were there for the 35th, and the 35th was like off the hook. Y'all hear that, right? No? Just me? Great. All right, Pete.
It was cool. I mean, I don't know if you would say it was off the hook, but it was really cool. I mean, we had some cool presentations. I mean, I don't know if I'm confusing this, but I think that was like one of the last times we got to see Marty Sklar in person. He died right after that, I think. I don't know. My time might be messed up. But anyway, is it me, or does it feel like this is a role reversal? I feel like Disney should be the ones telling us, you should be celebrating our milestones. Look at this merch. Look at this food. Please come for the 40th. Instead, they're doing nothing, and all the fans are saying, we want to come for the 40th. Please give us food. Please give us merch. We want to spend money. It is insane. It is bonkers to me that they don't do more stuff for these big events, and especially Epcot. I mean, 35th is great. I love milestones. I love birthdays, but 40th is it's a bigger, it's a rounder number. It's a special occasion. Epcot meant so much. The word Epcot came out of Walt Disney himself's mouth. Like, it is a big deal. How are you not celebrating this more? And even though Epcot is not the Epcot we wanted, maybe it is the one we wanted, but it's not the one that let's say that Walt intended, it is still a very special park to a lot of people. I don't understand why there's not more going on. I get it's the 50th, but you did so little for the 50th. I'm just a little disappointed. It almost cost you nothing. You could have a team of 5 people in charge of making merch and designing things. I could do it almost alone, and we would have had a blowout. Just give me all the anniversaries of American parks. It blows my mind that you're going to up ticket prices and upcharge for every single thing at Disney, but when you have an opportunity to make money on merch, food, and special events like this, they just sweep it under the rug. It blows my mind.
You make a great point about that, the fans asking for it. I haven't usually gone to, say Tom Corliss and gone, Tom, are you going to have a birthday? I want you to have a birthday party so that I can come to your birthday party. It feels weird, right? So this is us begging to be at their birthday party. The other thing is, let's take a look at this merch real quick. So here's this, they've got the usual suspects.
Can I just say something out of the gate?
Absolutely.
I know that a lot of people travel to Florida from out of state, but why are all the merchandise, a lot of the merchandise recently, long sleeves and hoodies and pants. Does anyone not understand that we have had 100 degrees for the last 3 or 4 months here? We had a low, I think, of 86 today, and it felt like winter. It was unbelievable, but I can't even imagine wearing a sweatshirt, pants, or another Spirit jersey. What are you doing? I get it. People want to take it home. But what about your locals? Holy smokes. I am so sorry to interrupt, Rob. I will mute myself for 60 seconds.
No penalty box. You're good unless you've got something else to do. So let's go back to this. Like, it's the usual suspects. It's a Loungefly. It's a Spirit jersey to keep you warm in the Florida heat, apparently. This one, long sleeve. It is interesting that they do that. It is. I assume it's because it's October and people are thinking, hey, it's starting to get a little chillier. Maybe I don't know. I think we can agree that this is a pretty cool looking cake, though. This sort of figment roll cake that they've got going on there. Cool. I like this little cup that they've got. I'm a sucker for any kind of a cup like that. I would probably buy it just to get the cup. And then that waffle looks very Instagrammable. And then you can see this is like, I don't know. The food looks a little bit lackluster. Charlie, I feel like Disneyland does a lot more even on top of this with food. Like Chinese New Year, right? I mean, that had a whole bunch of stuff on top of, I think there's some stuff that happens for Day of the Dead. Like, there's a lot of other options other than this.
I think that gets back to Pete's point. Disneyland is a locals park, and I know that's part of the big problem that the company has with Disneyland, but it is a locals park. I go in, I mean, not just as a theme park journalist, but just as a local. I go in for a few hours, have dinner, have something sweet, and then get out before the fireworks because I'm not dealing with that. It's a different world. It's something where we're really not dealing with a lot of people who are flying in from like Ohio who want to have their big trip, because why would you come out here to the smaller but better park when you could have all 4 parks out there and stay on property and it's all self-contained and everything? We don't attract the same kind of people. So this is, for us, our food is really important because most of us like get off work and go down after work for dinner, and we're not, spending money on staying on property. We're spending money on drinks and sweets and dinner down there. So that's where a lot of our development goes. And I think that's why we have, I can't speak for Tokyo, but I think we definitely, Disneyland specifically, has the best food program of any domestic park.
That's cool. No, I like that. That's can we borrow them for just a little bit? Send them to Florida, kind of have them learn how things happen. That'd be great.
The chefs can Zoom across the country and just share recipes and just do it the exact same way, because we've got a couple of guys out here who are just trailblazing with some amazing stuff, especially for the festivals and everything, where you go out to the EPCOT Food and Wine and it's all kind of okay, and we do heavier hitting amazing food for like Lunar New Year, like out of nowhere for a month.
It is very hard. There's
why?
No way of exchanging information at a rapid pace. By the time you write it down on a letterhead, give it to your local jockey, have him go across the country on a horse, slowly make their way to Orlando. They probably die in the heat nearby because they're wearing the gear of a hoodie and pants from Disney. We never find out those great recipes, so we just make whatever we can find here at the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival. It's a rough pickings.
You know what? I think ultimately the reason why the 50th birthday, the 40th birthday for EPCOT, the reason why those celebrations feel so lackluster is because you don't have executives that care. They don't care. They're not interested. This is Disney, okay? Disney. If they wanted to, they can put on a great party. They don't want to. They don't care. They can't be bothered. They're not interested. It wouldn't be hard. I mean, this is stuff that's the basics of what they do, okay? They have the script already written. They have the dances already made. They have the parades already created. They just don't care.
Okay. There you go. There's the sassy that we had last time.
I don't know if it's not care, because I do know some cast members, and I will say moving here has changed or shifted my belief. It's not that they don't care. So many cast members that are here care so much. It's budgetary and it's management, and that is a big thing. And I think that is the real issue. But that's what I'm
talking about. Is the people that make the decisions.
Totally right. You're totally right.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't think we're talking about cast members at all. I think
No. No.
I think
But it's
the
not
cast
that they don't
members.
care. It's just upper management and budgets, and it's just a real shame because, again, like she was saying, and like I was saying earlier, is that this doesn't take much. It almost takes nothing. Like, I would say, give me a budget. I'll make it back in merch. If I don't, I'll take it out of my own pocket. I will throw an amazing 40th celebration. If I lose money for you, I'll pay for it. How about, like, it's just, it blows my mind that, and it almost does feel like a not care because you know they're not going to lose. There's no way they can lose. So it's a little bit upsetting, and I get that.
If you would stop encouraging people to sneak kids into the park, they could get enough money to throw us a decent party. So, I mean, think about it that way. We're having a party at WDWNT, though. We're going to have a 40th anniversary celebration on October 1st and 2nd to celebrate EPCOT and 40 years, including Imagineer Tim Delaney and also Don Dorsey, the guy responsible for Illuminations and so many other great shows. So if you want more information on that, you can go to events.wdwnt.com and see what we're going to be up to for that one. Some other topics from Disney around the globe that I wanted to talk about, now that we've had a little bit of conversation about that, is the Play Pavilion. It was one of the things that we knew they weren't going to be talking about when, Pete's like, "Where's the Play Pavilion?"
What is that? Yeah.
Oh, it's so what they did was there was a thing called
the extinct attraction?
No, it lives inside of an extinct attraction. It's kind of complicated.
Oh, okay.
So the Wonders of Life Pavilion was an attraction pavilion that opened at Epcot after Epcot opened, and was one of the first ones to close. Had Body Wars and all these other fun little things in it, and it was a great place to go and spend a little bit of time. There was this Making of Me movie, which I saw with Martin Short, where I don't even know how that got past Disney Brass at the time. Then the same thing with Cranium Command, which is one of our favorites. That one was in there too. Then they were like, "Hey guys, we're going to take that pavilion that's been a shell of a husk. It's been kind of storage. We've used it for a little bit of celebration space, and we're going to redo the whole thing on very hands-on, touchable, interactive things." And then we had COVID, and they're like, "Ooh, that's probably a bad idea."
Well, also, you're leaving out. That was an amazing Epcot Festival Center for many years.
True. That is,
and then they were like, "Let's do a pavilion where you just touch everything," and then COVID happened.
Yeah, exactly. So we thought this project was maybe going to get talked about during D23 Expo, and then they said, "No, we're not going to do that," because a few years ago, before they even announced Play at the 2019 Expo, they started working on the roof of this building, and it's this big dome. And I'm sure if you've been to the parks, you've seen it. And they just repainted the whole thing. This whole painstaking thing that happened, it was ridiculous. And then now they're at it again. They're working on this thing again.
Huge.
They're going and working on the roof. But Pete, I'm not sure. You're the construction guy. Is it possible that they just are fixing some leaky holes and there is nothing else going on in this pavilion?
Yeah, that's a big possibility. I've talked about this on Twitter with other people too who have asked really smart questions, that we get so upset because it's more expensive to kind of let something go and then try and fix it 10 years down the line than maintain it and keep it. So I'm kind of happy that they're maintaining it, because that means to me that they want to do something with it. When you watch something just sit and decay, that's the sad part. That means there's probably no hope. So to me, even though we haven't had anything happen at this beautiful building, which just sits right off to the right of probably the best new ride at Walt Disney World, I'm happy they're at least maintaining it, which means there's probably means something's going to happen, which is nice. Because, fixing something that just sits with no care after many years is a lot harder than if you just, maintain it. So, and I've said that 10 times. However, this building they know it's not going to open soon. Like, they have put in permanent walkways blocking this pavilion off. So it's going to be at least a year, 2 years, maybe even 3. I don't know. I mean, and is this going to be the thing that pulls people away from Epic Universe? Because we get Moana and we get Tron, we get a reskin of Splash, and then what else has really been announced? Like, a lot of blue sky, like, we're going to have an expansion and we're going to do things.
Yeah.
But
Hold that thought for the back end of the show.
Sorry.
Hold that thought for the back end of the show. But we'll go to Kamila real quick on this one.
I just was going to say, I'm with Pete. I'm a little bit bullish on this because remember, this is a company that if they want something gone, even for no rhyme or reason, they just tear it down and it goes away, right? Think about the billboards, right? The Tower of Terror billboards that so many of you loved. That's gone. Why? We don't know, but it's gone. Think about Primeval Whirl. They wanted that gone. They had no idea what they were going to do next, but as soon as they made that decision, it no longer existed. So I feel like with Play Pavilion, they know that's still prime real estate. I think to some extent they are still trying to stick to the original tenets of EPCOT, and there's a lot of opportunity to do something with that. And if you stick to the plan of Play Pavilion, that's another way that Disney is able to keep EPCOT attractive to families, particularly families with younger kids, which is a market that they are trying to target more for this park. So I think if they wanted this gone, it would be gone. They've shown that they can do that.
Okay. So I love all of those answers. We have a super chat again from Jungle Cruiser that says, now that us Disneyland park goers will be getting magic bands, what is the best way to finance a collection? Should one buy one of each since it's year one? Jungle Cruiser, you've asked the wrong guys. I mean, especially me. This is the wrong person to talk about magic bands
with. That is my
because
only obsession. I buy no merch, but I have 70 magic bands. This is the wrong people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the wrong people. So I would love to give you, first of all, thank you for the super chat. Secondly, I will give you the absolute wrong advice here because I have a super bad problem, and Mr. Carney has actually helped to support my habit before in the past, and I appreciate that. We did a seedy Magic Band transaction at the Lime Garage at Disney Springs once. So, and I know that for anybody that knows Pete knows he hates.
You should just pay for it all. Anyway, Charlie, do you have any thoughts on the last one? 'Cause I know you want to say something, and I felt like you're fired up.
I mean, there's only one explanation for the Play Pavilion, and I think we all know it. We're just not saying it. Buzzy never left. He's still in there, and they have to protect him. This is all a cover-up. He was never actually stolen. It's all a publicity stunt, and he's the one who's in there calling the budget cuts. He's the one, and like, I'm sure Chapek flies down to visit him and, sit at the feet of the master. He's the one who we should all be blaming. And they have to keep him safe from, the hurricane. So they have to patch it up. Because if he gets wet, like, what is he going to do? Not run Disney Plus? Like, of course he's still in there.
That was definitely worth it, Pete. Thanks for drawing attention to that one. That was the payoff was huge, huge on that one. So, oh my gosh, thanks so much.
Very valid point. It's something we should all consider.
No,
it's the only logical option.
No. So we're going to go to Charlie a little bit more on this stuff because we were talking about the magic bands, and Disneyland has announced that they are magic bands, which we thought they were going to announce at the expo and just maybe like hand some out at the time, but they went, no thank you, we're not ready to do that yet. And so the Disneyland magic bands have been announced for this fall. Because let's be as vague as possible this fall. That gives them a fairly big window to do whatever they need to do. So I was actually at Expo with my wife, and I was like, they're going to announce magic bands. She said, now, will the Florida magic bands work in Disneyland? And I said, I don't think so, because there are two different apps, and they've got an ID number. So I said they might. And she goes, oh, that'd be great. That way we don't have to buy new ones. And I'm like, do you not know me? Of course I'm going to have to buy new ones. Like, I don't care if they work because I'm going to need these because these have Sleeping Beauty Castle on it. These have the Disneyland D on them. I'm going to have these. So Magic Band Plus has not, to my knowledge, come out with the limited edition Magic Band Pluses. Everything seems to be open edition at this point. But, Charlie, I mean, you're going to have to buy at least all of these to start with, right?
I mean, I'm sure I will be asked to buy them, and all of my friends are going to hit me up. I probably won't. I'm not as big into merch as a lot of people, so I'll probably have the one for the novelty of it. But I'm the wrong guy to ask about this. I have heard, however, that the Florida ones will work over here, so it should hopefully be the same thing. And with that being said, like if I am going to buy just the one, it'll probably be something with Orange Bird on it. You know, like I'm just going to have somebody in Florida send me one and I'll trade for a Disneyland one.
Like this Orange Bird one right here?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
As opposed to the partner statue that I'm wearing over here. And and Pete's got some Magic Bands down yonder. So what do you got?
I tell everyone, do not buy Magic Band Plus. I literally tell everyone, do not do it. It is the biggest waste of money. But then they released a Tower of Terror Magic Band Plus, and I had to message everyone and say, go buy me it the minute you see it. So now I have a Magic Band Plus for Tower of Terror. My second one. It is the biggest waste of money of all time. Do not buy this. I am telling you, but how cool is it? Look at this thing. Oh my god, it's so cool. All right, sorry.
That is pretty cool.
That's it. Don't buy it, but it's pretty and it's cool.
You guys,
But if
this
you
is
need
why
an arm workout, you can go like this in front of statues.
Kamila?
This is why Chapek stays winning. I mean, it's just not even hard, you know?
Yes.
Like, I don't understand the fact that they bring these Magic Band devices to Disneyland just in time, by the way, for them to go way up in price compared to where we started. And let's not forget, once upon a time, a long time ago, they were free. I don't know. There's something about that. And when you look at the functionality, I mean, look, at Disneyland, yes, they're going to get a Magic Band. It's going to make it easier to get into the parks, maybe make it easier for you to get back into your, on-property resort, do a couple of other things. But for $35 per person, I don't know. But it's
where
stays
do
winning.
you have that discount shop? That's amazing.
Well, I mean, they're $35 if you use your discount or if you get them, because they give you like $5 off or something ridiculously low if you do as part of your hotel stay. So they are.
It's the biggest scam, and here we are. It's the biggest. We are all telling you it is a scam, but I know 50% of you watching are gonna go buy one.
So here's my thing with Magic Band Plus, though, is that I may get a couple of them, but until they start marketing them the way they did with the limited edition ones in the nice boxes, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to buy all of them, and I'm saying
also
this...
when they actually hold up and hold their value with fun things, like what is coming after the statues. And first of all, the statues don't even make them hold their value. That is the worst. I honestly don't even want to go up to the statues with a Magic Band because I feel like I'm taking a spot away from a child because it takes 15 minutes to get a reaction. That's the same thing you've heard 45 times before that. And I'm holding up a line of someone looking for magic for that same exact spot they just heard from me going like this for 25 minutes in front of a bush. I'm just sad, and I agree with you, Rob, that I feel like until these have actual value, that's when it'll be worth it. Like, make this valuable. I totally agree.
Well, plus you have to charge these. That's the one good thing that we've never had to do before. Is we have to charge these, which is obnoxious because back in the day you'd throw your band on and go in the park, and now you have to make sure is it charged, and if you got a family of 4, is everybody's charged, and that's a problem. But the statue thing annoys me because especially as a grown man walking through the parks by myself, walking up to Olaf and doing this.
Yeah.
And
I'm
nothing
not a grown
happens.
Man, but I understand what
nothing
you're saying.
happens. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's, and then you start to walk away, and then the band like shakes a little bit, and you're like, well, great. And then so you run back, you go, wait.
Trolls you. After you get no reaction, you'll walk 4 feet away, and it's like da da da, and you're like, stop it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on.
And Charlie, I don't know if you took these pictures, but Batuu Bounty Hunters is definitely coming to Disneyland. I know this is this is really the only interactive thing we're seeing, right? So far.
This actually wasn't me, and I'm glad it was our other reporter, Allie, who was in the park, because I would have thought it was graffiti. I don't know Batuu Bounty Hunters for anything, so I'm glad she picked that out. But yeah, I mean, they're all over the place, in the story locations that I guess are going to do. And we've seen the walls, so I knew something was going on. But I guess that's going to be our only additional offering, other than because as I understand, they're probably not going to be used for park admission because they haven't shut down any of the ticket booths or anything. So it's just for the Genie Plus that I don't want to pay for. So like, I don't know what else I'm going to use it for. Yeah, and that's
it's so funny
why I'm not going to buy them.
I know I'm talking a lot, but you know what? I miss ParksCenter, and I have so much to say. But It's just so funny to me that they're trying to market Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom just repackaged. It's like you should buy a magic band, walk up to places, scan it, and create your own adventure and a story. Wait a minute. This seems like something they're like, stop it. No, it's not. It's brand new. It's original. And you need this very expensive band, and you have to charge it. There's no way we could have done it with your original magic band. There's no, you have to, like, come on. Are you kidding
This
me?
one, this one's going to, yeah, but this one's going to glow with the show as well. I mean, it's using that technology, so, you know.
Oh, my God.
I don't really know.
I did have a good time bounty hunting,
listen.
and a shout-out to the California team with Charlie. I did it with Allie and Kevin, with part of the California team, and we had a lot of fun.
Okay. What were you going to say real quick, Kamila?
Chapek won. The rest of us, 0.
Okay, to that point, we have a super chat from Rosita. Rosita said, I will not buy a Magic Band Plus. I would rather give you the money, Rob. The statues go away someday, and there you go. So thank you so much, Rosita, for the Magic Band switch-o-roo there and giving us the money for the super chat. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. Yeah, so the thing is, though, that Magic Bands, I'm going to go ahead and, on the positive side, say I'm happy that Magic Bands are coming to Disneyland, and I've talked about this on the show before, because when I go to Disneyland, I feel like I'm back in, like, the 50s, because I have to have my credit card and my key to the world if I'm staying on property, and my ticket, which is on my phone, and that's kind of a pain. And then, you know, for a while, when you first got the Magic Key, the waiters and waitresses would have to literally take your phone or write the number down, and it's, you know, if you could just come and tap the band. I cannot wait for that technology to come. It's just the Magic Band Plus part of it that I think all of us are struggling with the value of. So, I mean, I'm excited that they're getting them.
You're totally
But
right.
even at
I'm
that-
tired of them texting me and paging me 911 on my beeper to say that I have a table reservation. It's terrible.
Yeah,
I think, you know, even at that, like, if we don't use them for the theme park admission, you can have your credit card, but, like, you know, smartwatch, you've already got that, and, like, everybody's got an Apple Watch or something. And if it's something that you really want, you know, like, that's the way to do it. The credit card is the only thing, but, like, you can scan your Genie Plus, and you can, that's it. So, like,
Well,
you're still going to have to carry your park admission on your phone, and you're still going to have to probably carry your credit card, because the tap to read things at the turn or the points of sale don't work half the time. The chip doesn't work half the times. This stuff just isn't good technology to be kept up in the same way. Florida, like, everywhere works. You can always tap to pay. Out here, it's very hit or miss. So I just don't think
This is
there's
what I'm
gonna be a
saying,
whole
just
lot
to-
you can do with it.
Yeah, just to exaggerate your point, Charlie, because it's a great one, is that going back to our original conversation about EPCOT, we're willing to pay for things, but you're not giving it to us, but we're tired of you overcharging us for other stuff, is why hasn't California been updated? People know you spend more money when you have to scan your wristband and not think about pulling out cash or a credit card. How do you not have that whole park set up like Walt Disney World? It's in the same exact country. It is the same tech team. It is the, like, what are you doing? It is the easiest application of all time, and yet, like, we have to beg for this. Be like, oh, we like to pay on our Magic Band. We like to scan into our hotel rooms. Like, these are the easiest things in the world to do. They have a multi-billion-dollar company, and we're asking them to please let us spend more money at a faster rate. What is going on?
Well, it's coming this fall to Disneyland, and get excited. One last thing I want to talk about before we go on to talk about Halloween Horror Nights and with our good friend Annie. Yeah, you're going to stick around for that. You're going to be excited about that. So for it is this patent that came out. Disney files a patent for glasses-free VR attraction. I've got a couple thoughts on this, and then I want to throw it to the panel. First of all, you know, they advertised Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway as 2.5D. You won't need glasses for this 3D experience, and I don't see a lot of 3D in that other than the round-faced animatronics. That's one. So, you know, I guess we got to be careful about what they're actually promising here. But the second is we've talked about some possibilities for VR coming to the parks, and the first thing I always thought about was if you're going to put goggles on everybody, you're going to slow the process down, and you're going to have to clean the heck out of those, especially post-COVID. So I kind of like the idea of what they're talking about here. But Kamila, this feels, I don't know what the process is or what the use will be, but this feels super screen-based, not physical attraction-ish.
That was my thought. And like, even just looking at, the rendering, and I know it's just a design for now, but it just doesn't look exciting. And I'm sorry, Charlie, but it brings me back to Web Slingers and the trauma that is that ride. And
talk bad about my ride.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's just, why? What are we doing? I mean, I agree though. Like, I understand wanting to move away from goggles and, still be able to give guests this really in-depth, in-ride experience, but it doesn't look exciting. But then again, I will say this, you also have to think about Flight of Passage and, the way that's kind of screen-based. So, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let me throw it to Charlie, and then we'll go to Pete on this one.
So I kind of agree. It doesn't look exciting. It just looks like a digital Pepper's Ghost. And I don't know that I need it. Like, if you can't build a good ride to sit there and look at, giving me a floating gem is not going to make me really enjoy the ride. So it's just superfluous, I think Spider-Man is a great ride, and I think you're very wrong. But that's the proper level of technology. Like, I think we kind of peaked at like the Toy Story Midway Mania area, where it's like, okay, it's a screen, and I can interact with the screen, and that's kind of all I need. But like, if we start going too much further than this, like, I'm just gonna stay at home. I have a very nice Xbox that I can stay with, and why am I going to go into the park to play it? Yeah,
Smuggler's Run is another one.
Yeah, it's just kind of a screen and you push buttons.
All right, Pete, let us have it.
I say this all the time, is that for me, what makes Disney so special is that completely immersive environment. If you have to put on glasses and look at a screen, what stops any Six Flags, local park, or rich guy on your neighborhood block to do the same thing and download that technology? Is that for me, the reason I fell in love with the Disney parks was that completely immersive, beautiful experience, 360, no matter where I look, up, down, left, right, the cast members, the environment, and I'm not wearing glasses. I know they serve a purpose, and certain rides like Remy, it's a fun ride, I get it. But the more rides where you have to put on those, and that's my beef with Universal. I think Universal's doing a great job, especially recently, and their entertainment's been a lot better. Their parks have been a lot better. They're cleaner. The cast members or the team members have been blowing me away. But the problem is you got to put on glasses every time you go on a ride. You don't feel like you're really there. You feel like you're stepping into something else, and you're not being immersed. You're just walking into a ride and putting on glasses. What makes Disney so special is not that. So that's what scares me. Do I think that they serve a purpose? Sure. But I am paying... Look at Disney price compared to every other theme park or compared to anything. Like bread, milk, eggs, rent, cars. Look at the cost of everything over the last 50 years. Disney prices have gone up higher than everything else because we expect more. So don't give us the same stuff everybody else is doing. Don't give us something that's going to be part of the meta universe tomorrow where I can stay at home and do the same thing. I want to be immersed. That's my story. That's my TED Talk. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Okay. Metaverse, not meta-universe, because that sounds like multiverse, that's something completely different.
Like, I know anything about technology, Rob. Look at me.
Fair point, my friend. Fair point. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. Since Pete wants to talk about Universal, we're going to talk about...
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside as he and a panel of Disney superfans take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog. They'll tell you its history, details, and give their review, so you'll know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes, or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube on WDWNT TV.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Tonight we're going to be talking about Halloween Horror Nights, and I wanted to talk about Halloween Horror Nights last week, but we were talking about Expo, and so we had so much to share during that. But Annie, Charlie, Pete have all been. I've been. It's been exciting. I can't wait to talk about it, but I want to start with Annie, because you got that big old fat press entrance into the very opening of it. How was that?
It was awesome. I got to film inside the houses and take pictures. It was really cool. Totally different experience. And I really shout out, thank you to Universal for the invite. I had a great time.
Okay, so then, what's this? What are we looking at? Oh, this is Pete and his, yeah. That's scary. Wait, hold on. Here we go. There we go.
Good. That's what I needed to see. Thank you for that. That's what I
Yeah,
wanted.
exactly. First time I ever went was in 2019. That was before COVID. I don't know if you guys remember back that far, but I went to Halloween Horror Nights and went to just, as a regular guest. And then, yeah, that's Tom Corliss in the gift shop. And it was great, and it was the first time I'd ever been, because I'm on Mickey's Not So Scary kind of a guy, and so I was never really going to, I didn't really get the appeal until I went, and then that was great. Now I've got Kamila. I'm sorry, Kamila. Let me ask you this, Pete. When was the first time you went, and will you ever not go again?
I was just saying, what's kind of crazy, my very first time in any Universal park was a Halloween Horror Nights. I had never gone to Universal before a Horror Nights. So that was my experience of Universal, and I was like, why does everyone hate on this place? Look at this theming. It's amazing. I loved it. And my very first time, I want to say, was the year before I moved here. So 2018 was my very first experience ever. September of 2018, I came alone. I'll never forget it because I read all the things. I got there an hour and a half early. I ran to the back of the park. I was alone, and I walked through the very first house. And it was a house that had very little lighting, and I literally was just running into walls. And they were, pushing me in the right direction, and I was like, this is really cool. I thought it would be like a little amusement park-ish and everything else. But anyway, I had the best time ever. I did, pretty sure I did 8 out of 10 houses that night, saw the shows, and I did all 5 rides because I had never gone to Universal. So I was obsessed. I was telling everybody how great Universal was. And then I went to Universal without Horror Nights, and I was like, they should just do Horror Nights all the time.
That's fair. Charlie, you've been to the one in Hollywood. I've never been to the one in Hollywood. So, I mean, have you been to the one in Florida too? I can't remember.
No, I haven't ever been to Universal Studios Florida, Universal Orlando Resort in Florida. I've done Disney World, but that's the trip, and then I haven't made it out to the other studios. I think there's a bit of a snobbery involved because in LA it's all movie-based stuff. Like we have a huge studio that's more than half of our footprint, and so we're not really a theme park first. I think we're really more of a studio first, whereas Universal Orlando Resort, it's definitely the theme park area more than we are. So there's a little bit of jealousy, but we're gonna call it snobbery.
Well, immediately the chat was like, well, now we need to mute him. Because we freaking love the one in Florida. The first one I went to was the Ghostbusters House, and I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, kid of the 80s. Loved that. It was so good, so neat. I didn't get to go back until we went back for this year was my first time going. I had to watch everybody else do an RIP tour last year, and I was very sad. And when Annie got bumped up to first class, your boy swooped in and got that RIP, and we got to do all 10 houses. And honestly, the winner for me, and Annie, you can fight me on this, and maybe Pete too, was the Weekend house. When I heard that the Weekend was going to have his own house, stop it, Charlie, stop it. When I heard he was going to have his own house, I was like, that is going to be awful. And then I went into it, and I was like, this, the music is playing outside, and you kind of get the vibe and the feel, and you get inside, and it's supposed to be this whole thing about you're in his head, and he's in this chair and they're like siphoning out all of his like, his nightmares, and then you get to walk through and like live them in this like club atmosphere. The funniest thing was they said that he was involved in the planning, and one of the first things you see, and I don't really think this is too much of a spoiler, is somebody that looks like him slitting a woman's throat. And I thought, did he come up with that? Like, is this some hidden thing that he's always wanted to, like, what? Like, what's happening? It was a little bit weird. But Annie, what are your thoughts? Is it even top 5 for you? I don't even know.
That was my favorite house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was also my favorite house. That was the first house we did on our tour. So I think that kind of like set the tone for the night. But I like that vibe, like spoilers. So, I like the mirrors and the lights and the colors and, like you said, the music. I really like that atmosphere. There were a lot of good like scares that got me. So not only did I get like the fun vibe that put me in a good mood, but I also got like enough scares from it. But my second house would have been rated the Legends, the Universal Monsters Legends Collide, just because that got me more scared. But Weekend is going to be my top, and I think every time that I've gone through it, I've not been disappointed. But unlike you, stop making that face, Charlie. Unlike you guys, when they announced The Weekend, I was excited because I thought that was going to be something that everyone was going to hate on, and it was going to really like surprise people. And it seems to have done that. So I was kind of like, I had high expectations for it, and so it definitely met my expectations. So I don't want to hear you, Charlie. Mute yourself.
I will stay muted.
I agree. I hate saying it. I know it's cliche, but I also have The Weeknd in my top 3. I think they did a great job. It's weird. I get how people get upset when they talk to me about movies, because I was like, oh, this is like walking through the Super Bowl halftime show, but with like more of his control and more actors, and like you're there in the end zone with him. If you remember that COVID halftime show where he was stuck doing a Super Bowl halftime show in the end zone, which a lot of people was upset about. And if you ever watched the documentary, he didn't want to do that, but he was forced to do it. But anyway, and it's super cool. And then my friends were like, well, what do you mean the Super Bowl halftime show? I go, what do you mean you haven't seen the Super Bowl halftime show? And I guess how people feel about me about Ghostbusters, because I've never seen it. Anyway, I love The Weeknd house. And that's, I'll just defer my time, because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. I don't even know what we're talking about right now, but The Weeknd house is fantastic.
I think the topic was, Pete, is this the best house? And I think it is. But Charlie, I mean, you've been through the one, I assume, in California?
Yes.
And you hate it? I can
only speak for California. Yeah, it was my least favorite house. It was how do I say it without giving anything away? It was 2 sets. It was 2 sets that we see a bunch of times, and very, I don't know, like the scares weren't very creative. Like, granted, I'm thinking of it from a haunt design perspective as well, and like it wasn't bringing a whole lot in layout design. I think it didn't give me a whole lot of variety in what we're seeing. If it is based on his music videos or his show or whatever, that's fine. But it just didn't lend itself, I think, to a good haunted house walkthrough. And if we want to talk about good music, On the Lower Lot, Slash did the music for Universal Monsters. Like, you can't compare.
Oh, so this is where
Slash... What?
I will be the Charlie of this one. I thought the Monsters house is in my bottom 3. The Icons house was a snooze fest. It was a snooze fest. I told everyone to skip it. I did it 3 times, and on the 3rd time I go, listen, I did it 3 too many times. I am done with the Icons. Give me the new park, give me Epic, or give me the Icons house from the year before, or the year before that, or anything else. I thought the Icons house was a snooze fest. I would take a child through that. There was nothing scary about it. It may as well have been Winnie the Pooh. Oh my god, it was terrible.
All right, so let's back up a second and explain the Icons house, and I'm back on. I mean, Pete, tell me something. The Icons house for you. Why? Why did you love it so much, or why'd you hate it so much?
I didn't like it. Here's the deal. Listen, I think I love everything. So first of all, I don't think it's bad. Let me start out with, I love all the houses. I love anything that people put time and effort into. But I am judging these houses against each other. I am not judging it against my past or like Six Flags or things that happen up in New York or Long Island or Manhattan or anywhere else I lived and went or around the country. I'm comparing houses at Halloween Horror Nights against houses at Halloween Horror Nights, and that's it over the last few years. The Icons house this year was straight up boring. I've gone 3 times. I really tried. I'm really trying to like it. And I know I haven't seen all the movies, but just as someone who appreciates scenery, music, lead up, I haven't seen any movie, but I love all these houses every single year. I never seen Halloween. I love the Halloween house. I'm just saying, I look at production, I look at the value, I look at scares, I look at theming, I just look at the whole total picture. And Icons this year is just, and everyone's hyping it up, and I'm like, I did it 3 times. I never enjoyed it. I mean, it's fun to walk through and it's air conditioned. So yes, if you like air conditioning, it's great.
So here's the thing, though. For those of you who don't know about this is Dracula, the Mummy, and the Wolfman, and it's almost like Dracula, the Mummy, and the Wolfman walk into a bar, right? That sounds like a bad joke, but it's the 3 of them, and
Yes.
in this house, every night, someone different wins. So the night that we were there, like, you get to the end and you find out that the Mummy won that night, and so that's the kind of, I thought that was an interesting twist
That's
on this
cool.
I
one.
never saw Brendan Fraser once, but sure.
Yeah. So I mean, let me get Annie's take on this one. Like, what did you think of this particular house?
Well, first, let me say, I sat outside the Mummy for like 2 months, and I never saw Brendan Fraser. I
True.
didn't expect
Fair.
to see him in the house either. But and let me point out, I saw in the chat, so I switched my dinosaur on the Barbasol can. I forgot what you asked me about.
Oh, like what you thought about the Legends house?
Oh, I liked it. I think that was like my second pick, just because I think it was the one that got me the most, like, scare-wise, like the most, like, things just coming out all one after another, and that one was the one that probably, like, scared me the most. So that's why I ranked it at, like, one of my top ones. But I'm not, like, a huge, classic monster person. Like, I know a lot of people are just like, I love it because it's classic monsters, and I mean, I love classic monsters, but I really just like that house because it got me, a lot of scares. So I'm sorry, Pete. I'm sorry you don't like it. I'm kind of
Honestly, it's not bad. I
want
want
to
people to go
fight
to
you
it
on
so
it
I
a
can go.
little
The other
bit.
houses have shorter wait times. You should all totally go to the HHN quote-unquote Icons house. Totally do it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, so let's finish that particular house off and say, Charlie, what was different about the one in Hollywood, and what did you love about it?
So I can't really say it without like a straight up giveaway, but like we have a finale scene, which I'm sure you can find if you're so inclined to look on YouTube. We have a finale of this that is just great. I saw bits and pieces of the Florida one, but I was trying to like save myself for this house. This one was really good. There's one particular scare right towards the end that was really good and got me really good. Put me on the floor the first time I walked through, and then the final character as you walk out is really, really cool. So I know they're slightly different in each place, and it came out really good. And then on top of that, you have Slash's music the entire time, which is like, if you just put me in a dark room and play that music to me for 4 minutes and then let me leave, like, I'm going to be happy about that. So like on top of that, there are monsters. It's even better.
Music is a big deal. And also, let me correct myself. It's Legends, not Icons. I am very sorry for saying that. And also, it is not a bad house. I am literally only comparing it to other Halloween Horror Nights houses, and there are actually worse this year. I'm teasing just to kind of have some fun with all of you. But
All right.
to me, there's better houses.
All right, let me ask you this. So, we disagree on what's the best, and obviously it's a little different in Hollywood because they're all uppity. But I would say that for me, the worst house. Let's talk about the worst house was Hell Block of Horror, or Hell Block Horror. Like that one, I just thought like I don't even know what I'm looking at. And what I've heard was that was kind of a last minute replacement. So, again, I'm going to go to Annie on this one. What did you think of this one? What have you heard? Is this the bottom for you, or is there something different at the bottom for you?
It originally was at the very bottom for me. I just didn't get it, and like you said, it was kind of like, I think, a thrown together at the last minute house. It's one of the ones that is not on the t-shirt, so I guess that kind of is a giveaway that it was a last minute thing. But I've gone through it a few times since opening night, and I think it's improved a lot. And I gotta say, Spirits of the Coven, though, I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay.
It's worse.
You're not alone. Spirits of the Coven holds a 10 to 20 minute wait, where every other house holds 70 to 90 minutes. So, like, the people kind of agree with you, Annie.
So, Pete, is this the bottom, or was Coven's bottom for you, or is it something different?
I guess. I don't know. I never want to say things on my bottom. I never want to say it's the worst, because they're all fun. To be honest, I really do enjoy all the houses, and I know it's like went off on this thing. It's because I just feel like there was too much hype, and I had to even it out. But there's no such thing as a bad house at Halloween Horror Nights. They're all awesome. They're all fun. And if there's a short wait, go do it, because that is rare. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't make that your first house of the night. I would make that a replacement house, kind of like Annie mentioned on the t-shirt.
Oh, so before we move on, I'm going to ask Charlie, what do you think you would say the least exciting one is? I mean, and I agree with Pete. I think they're all kind of amazing in their own way, because it's just like they set these up. It's like these permanent attractions they set up temporarily, and the fact that they don't reuse them from year to year is insane to me, and actually speaks to the fact that they're probably making gomboodles of money on it.
Well, I'm happy they brought us to the West Coast. Like, what? I'm actually curious, and I'm sorry, Rob, you're in charge, but when you're done, Charlie, I would love to see Charlie's opinion on us, because we had that in the past, and now the Us House is over at the West Coast.
No, not even a little. We had the Us House too, and the Us House was better because it kind of went through. This was, it's on the Terror Tram, which is really cool, and it's something I think is unique to Hollywood. They take you on the tram, the studio tram tour, and then, like, they just kick you off the tram, and they're like, just go walk, and you walk through the sets. And we have one of our very few original characters, who is Koodles the Clown, Harry Kapowitz, and he's like an old TV clown who kind of lost his mind, and he now haunts the hills behind the studio lot in this one like overgrown area behind the Psycho House. And he's putting on a Halloween party, so it's like classic black cats and pumpkins and skeletons and stuff. Really cool. And you walk past the Psycho House, you can take a picture with Norman Bates, and then you go through the downed aircraft area of War of the Worlds, and then you get out and he says goodbye and it's over. And then also you walk around the corner to see Us. And so, like, it's definitely an afterthought. Like, it's just because the place where you board the tram is so close to where you can walk through Jupiter's Claim from Nope. And because Jordan Peele did Nope, and he also did Us, they just put a bunch of people from Us, like, they had the costumes left over, so they just put them in Jupiter's Claim. And they just kind of walk around smiling at you, but, like, there's no pop-outs, there's no additional sets, it's just Jupiter's Claim. And I think it's just to incorporate the Nope set in, but, like, there's no, like, walk-around characters to do Nope. You know, like, there's only the one thing from that I'm not going to give away, but, like, you can't do that as a haunt. And so they threw the characters from Us in there just to use that set, and then you just walk through it and get on the tram on the other side. The Terror Tram with Koodles the Clown is awesome, and this is just like a nice little addendum. It's gravy on top. It doesn't detract anything, but it definitely doesn't add anything, and it's not quite as fulfilling as the Us walkthrough that we had a few years ago.
So we talked about the houses. There's, I think, 10 in Florida, 8 in Hollywood. There's scare zones if you've never been. There's like special like foods during the night. There are all kinds of upcharge opportunities, like the Scare
But the
Actors
show is
Dinner.
the best thing. You got to do the show. It's the greatest thing of all time.
Well, that's what I was getting to, Pete. Come on, man. That's what I was getting to.
I quit. I'm sorry. I'm out.
God. I wanted to ask about Nightmare Fuel. Like, that's the
greatest
thing.
thing
Like,
that ever happened in Orlando.
so we were sitting there at the RIP tour, and I went with Mr. Corliss, and somebody, the guide was like, "Do you want to go to the to see the show?" And Tom's like, "I don't know. It's probably the same as next year." And I feel like everybody else in the group was ready to fight him to get to go to that show. So we did go to the show, and I think I spent the whole time feeling like I needed an adult, because it was a little bit. I'm not usually allowed to see things like that. Do they? They don't have Nightmare Fuel in Hollywood, do they?
Oh no, we used to have Bill and Ted's was our show, which is kind of like a pop culture riff. There's another show at Not Scary Farm called The Hanging, and it was like their version of The Hanging.
Dude, this is not that.
I know, it's, you guys have something totally different. Like, we had the snarky comedy show where we make fun of the president and pop culture and stuff, and then all that got taken out, and so now we get the Jabberwockies, and that's it.
Annie, let me get your take on this one.
You got to see it. You got to see it. It's a great show. I'm glad they brought it back. I wish it was a little different. It's very similar to last year, so I was a little disappointed by that. I wish it was a little different, but I'm glad it's back. But everyone's got to see it. Definitely got to see it.
All right, Pete, talk about it.
It has everything. Now listen, I have a family-friendly channel. This is not that. This is for adults only. Maybe not even 18 and over, 21 and over. But it is a hoot. It has fire. Who doesn't love fire? It is magic. And they actually did change up some of the magic tricks. I will say, to Annie's point, it is very similar to last year, which I don't mind because I loved last year. And I feel like there's a lot of people who didn't go see the show last year because they just heard it was a new show and it's whatever. But I feel like it gained so much hype throughout the off-season, if you will, that it's worth going to see. So they did change up some of the magic. They changed up some of the dancing. Listen, I'll sell it to you in a few words. It's got some of the best choreography in Orlando. It has some of the best pyro in Orlando. It has some of the best magic in Orlando. And it has the minimal amount of clothing in Orlando. It is a show and a half. I love it. And it's just the music and the hype train. If you're into just high energy, and just and fantastic everything. I mean, like, if you're into dancing, the choreography is amazing. The magic's great. Like, on a serious note, everything was done very well. But when you put yourself in that atmosphere, it's a really good time. I love it. I get the whole crowd into it. I was kicked out of the show a few times last year. It's a great show. It is a great show.
I wanted to take so many pictures, and they don't let you do that while you're in there. I'm sure, Pete,
No
you've
pictures, but
you've broken those
be
rules.
careful.
But
Also, don't start a wave more than 3 nights in a row because they'll ask you to leave. Don't do that.
fair. That's fair. So, so again, if you've never been to Halloween Horror Nights, this year I feel like holds up and is again another great offering on both coasts. I just want to get final thoughts from each of you, and we'll start with Annie and work our way up back up to Charlie. What do you think is the must see this year? Is it still the number one house? Is it the food? Is it? Let me go back. If it's somebody who's never been, what's the one thing that they should not leave this without going to see?
Oh, wow. You put me on the spot with a
I did.
question
You're welcome.
like that. Oh, I don't know. There's so much great stuff. I'm a huge fan of the scare zones. I think those are fantastic. The food, I'm a huge fan of the food this year. I mean, there's just so many good things that I keep, getting messages on Instagram, and I keep telling people, things I recommend, and then the list just keeps growing and growing. I'm a foodie, but I think, the 31st year, Halloween falls on the 31st. The traditional stuff is a great year to go. Just do it all. Just do it all. Get there early, do the whole thing, stay late, If you can get the express pass, if you can get the RIP tour, but definitely go. Definitely go.
Awesome. Pete, what's the biggest upgrade this year, you think?
I think my biggest thing, and this is real talk, is you should do Horror Nights like you do a Disney day. Is you should get there early. You should rope drop it. You should get there at 5 in the afternoon and get there. Because seriously, if you run to the back of the park, everyone's going to do the stuff up front. You can get 3 or 4 houses done on literally just walking into the houses without ever waiting in a line. You just got to go all the way to the back, get them all done, get 3 or 4 done. When the crowd builds up, do the shows, do the rides, eat great food. And then as the crowds leave at the end of the night, kind of just like Disney, go back to the houses and get things done and wait on those lines. Because the lines will inflate from 0 to 70, 90, 120 in the middle of the night. But if you can do that time to do shows, they have a beautiful water show. They have the amazing Halloween Nightmare Fuel. They have a lot of great food to try. And you can go on the rides by walking on most of the time. I say do a ton of houses up front, a ton of houses at the end. That's my biggest piece of advice to anyone. And I will say, really push yourself to try new things. And if you have someone in your group that's really a hard no, let them just do their own thing. It might ruin your own experience. So just, I know you want to push everyone in. Lauren won't even come into the park with me, but sometimes if someone says no, kind of just let them be and go have your own good time. You might actually have a better time.
Yeah, we actually had some people in our group that didn't want to. There's one that's a bug house. Like it's like that's the theme of it is bugs, and they're like, ugh, I don't like bugs, and so they sat out of that one. And you're right, you don't push them too hard to do those things, and maybe sometimes it's okay to go in first and then like give somebody a heads up. But like Annie said, a lot of that stuff is on our website, so if you want to go check it out, you can find out all about it. So Charlie, go ahead, Pete.
I was gonna say, like, if you're gonna go do it and you know you're gonna do it, I love that we have in-house filming. I think it's a lot of fun. If you know you're gonna actually do it, go experience it first. If you're not, then totally go check out the videos and pictures and reviews. But it is a lot of fun going in cold to a house that you know you're gonna go do. That's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree, but there are people who are very afraid of the unknown,
of course,
and I think
totally
that I would hate for them to
everybody.
miss out.
I'm saying for those people out there like me who love the horror. Yeah.
I agree. So Universal Parks News today, there's a lot of it you can just skim through and see, some of the stuff. There are videos.
So much information. And it's awesome.
All that
and
stuff.
Andy did a heck of a job with food, houses, scare zones, everything. It's amazing.
So, Charlie, what's better about the Hollywood one this year?
I hate to say it, but less IP. Like Universal Orlando always gets a lot of really nice originals, and we usually get almost all IP, and we're very fortunate to get any originals. We have several originals this year, and those are the best houses. Universal Horror Hotel, Scarecrow the Reaping is one of the best mazes I've ever been through in my entire life. It's amazing. We've got so much great stuff this year, and it's kind of a rarity because we usually have like a bulk of our time and space and budget and everything going to like Stranger Things or whatever, and it comes out to be a good house, but it's like one, and then other things get the shaft. This time it feels very even across everything got a fair shake, and there's a lot of really good houses. Like I said, Scarecrow is one of the best. I still love Universal Monsters one, and the Universal Horror Hotel. If you're only going to have time for a few, if you go in on a general admission, to do that. But it's also, I don't want to neglect Not Scary Farm. And even as much as I hate to say it, Six Flags has a really good Fright Fest. It's a terrible place to go, but the Fright Fest is really good. So, just grit your teeth and get through it. But there's a lot of great haunts in it.
And if you just want some good old-fashioned fall fun, come on out to Dollywood. In general,
something as well. To Charlie's point is over at Cabana Bay, they do have, and it's covered. And he did a great job as well. But I just went and did it the other day. The picture and just walk through fun area at Cabana Bay near Universal. You can put yourself in scary situations. You can just walk through it. It's free. It's fantastic. Sorry, go ahead.
So one last thing I want to say is
really cool. That is really cool. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, and also, what's the dead coconut thing that's going on, Annie?
Oh, that's fun too.
Oh, I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah, it's great.
I love that. It is.
So Annie, it's at the Old Red Coconut Club. It's on the second floor of City Walk. I'm just teeing Annie up to talk about it more. I'm just going geography. Do you want to talk about your experience, Annie?
Oh, I love the tiki decor. I love that it's open. I've been dreaming and waiting for it to reopen. It was one of those places like Green Eggs and Ham that's been closed for so long that I dreamed of one day it reopening. But I know that you're a fan of, going out to bars, so I would love to hear your experience.
Uh-oh.
I know you're like a
no, I love it. I think it's
professional
really
at this.
cool. And if anyone's in town this Wednesday night, we'll be going there this Wednesday night, as well as we'll be at Halloween Horror Nights Wednesday night. So come say hi. And we'll be hanging out all weekend as part of the WNT celebration for the 40th anniversary. I hope you join Saturday and Sunday. And if you want to hang out with us Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, there'll be a bunch of us hanging out. Come hang out with us.
Very cool. All right, so the last thing I was going to say was that out of our group, almost everybody except for me, and I loved this house, the Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake. We didn't even talk about that one at all, but everyone else in our group was like, this is hands down the best one. I think we went immediately back through that one on the RIP tour because it's based off of an old scare zone and just top to bottom. Again, that goes back to the whole idea of they set these things up. They're so elaborate. They're so immersive and well done. And then to think that they're going to take, a sledgehammer to it afterwards or, start from scratch again after is kind of shocking. This one was really good.
It's nice to see that Universal doesn't Spectro Magic their attractions, that they do bring them back and don't let them rot in the rain. It is so nice. And this is coming from Phenomenal Brandy. Shout out to Phenomenal Brandy, who is my HHN go-to expert. It's one of she nailed it. She said it is the most beautiful house you'll walk through. So whether you're talking about scares or whatever it may be, if you're into IPs or whatever, it is beautiful. And I think you're 100% right, is why if you have such a hit with a scare zone or a house, vice versa, ship it off to another coast, turn it a house into a scare zone into a house. When the fans like it, we like it, and we will go back to it. We go to Disney every day and ride the same exact rides every day. So, yes, if we love it, please do more of it.
Well, that'll tee us up for our final discussion of the night. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back and discuss about a quote that came out earlier this week that said Universal is gaining share over Disney. We're going to talk about what that means right after this. Don't go away. We'll be back with more ParksCenter. This is Disney Entertainment News Today. I'm Rob Whiteside, and here now are the top Disney entertainment stories.
For the latest in Disney Entertainment News, watch Disney Entertainment News Today, hosted by Rob Whiteside. From movies and series news to stage shows, books, video games, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday on WWNT.tv.
It's time to adjust that set and turn that dial to WDWNT TV, our new channel where some of your favorite programming from the WDW News Today YouTube channel is heading. If you want to continue to see Boxed In on Fridays, ParksCenter on Sundays, and as well our Thursday night comedy variety show WDW News Tonight, you'll have to catch them at their new home, WDWNT TV. It's easy to subscribe. Just put in the URL, WDWNT.tv. Hit subscribe and make sure you get those notifications. Again, is the only way you'll be able to continue to see these great shows as they are moving away from the WDW News Today channel permanently. We hope to see you over there at our new home, WDWNT TV. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
Welcome back to ParksCenter again. Thank you guys so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so we've gone a little bit into extra innings, but I really want to make sure that everybody gives us a thumbs up if you can. It helps people to find us, and also is kind of sort of validation for all these fabulous people that are coming to you on Sunday night to share their night with you and talk about all things Disney and Universal and apparently Six Flags and apparently Dollywood. We're talking about all of it. It's ParksCenter. It's not Disney. It's ParksCenter. I think, we all kind of became Disney fans probably, and then, in Orlando they built Universal Orlando, and then stop it.
You shouldn't have put yourself close to us.
So we're good. You done?
No.
I know it's really hard when when people see magic. I mean,
I thought you were going to go for it for a moment.
It's weird because I almost burned
really
myself on that lamp that I have right here.
I mean, we could go back to this, but we'd miss Kamila. So, I mean,
bring Kamila back.
All right, that's what I thought. Here we are. So anyway, so I'm very much in the school that I've always defended Disney. Like when my kids would say, "Well, my friends like Universal better," I would kind of tell them all the reasons that their friends were wrong. And so but especially post COVID, I think we'd all agree is Universal seems to have done a better job of coming back, of not enforcing park reservations on us or park, and still keeping us safe. But at the same time, they've done a really good job post-COVID coming out of, treating their guests well, and the team members are great over there and all that. So I do think that there is a lot of positives about both parks. But one of the things that came up this week was that there was a quote from Universal that said Universal is gaining share on Disney. Now, that could mean anything, right? Gaining share on Disney could mean that, it's a 0.001%, or that they're starting to get, more than they used to have of that, vacation time, because everybody's got that limited amount of time. And I think what we've done in the past is we've split our time where we'll go like one day on our Florida trip to Universal, or on our, even at Hollywood, go like one day to Hollywood, but spend most of our time at Disney. And for me personally, I love Disney and walking around and just taking it all in. And it's a different kind of experience for me, Universal versus Disney. Universal has some great thrill rides. We kind of talked a little bit about. A lot of them are screen-based, or you have to wear glasses. So, now there's Epic Universe coming, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, Disney, look out! You got to be threatened." But then at the expo, they talked about a lot of different things that are coming from Disney. So what I want to do is go around the panel and kind of get your thoughts on it. I want to start with Kamila because she hasn't been messing with me. I'm going to start with Kamila. And get your opinion on it. Before I give my opinion on any of this, I want to hear what you guys have to say. So, Kamila, what are your thoughts?
I will say this, the Epic Universe talk bothers me a little bit because I feel like it's coming from a place of, instead of just being excited about this new, land or world or theme park that Universal is going to give us, it feels more like a way to gain leverage with Disney and say, "Hey, Disney, you need to, keep up. What are you going to give us?" Right? And it feels more like a way to try to get out of Disney. What's the next big thing that they're going to give us? Are they going to give us a new park? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily coming from a place of just being excited about Epic Universe on its own. Although I do think there's genuine interest there. What I see personally, I think it's true and fair to say that more people are at least considering spending time at Universal. And I think you're exactly right, Rob. For a lot of people, if they choose to go to Universal, it's part of their Disney trip and it's one day that they're giving up, right? So they're kind of shoehorning it in. You're starting to see more people price out the cost of going to Universal and staying there over a couple of days. Some people take advantage of staying at the deluxe resorts to get the Universal Express passes that come with your stay there. Interestingly, some of the most recent families that I have booked for Universal, the only reason they did Universal is because Disney was completely sold out. And I mean, there was not a room available. So it was, I don't have anything at Disney to price for you. Literally nothing, but hey, what about Universal? And so I kind of convinced them to do Universal literally because Disney had nothing. So I don't see necessarily people reaching out solely for Universal's sake. The other thing I just want to say, I do feel like with Universal, there's like they literally just charge more for tickets, they charge more for the express passes, and they get away with it. No one complains about that the way they do with Genie. And remember that at Universal, you know, an express pass could cost you anywhere from, you know, $150 all the way up to $300 on a really busy day per person, in addition to the ticket that you buy, which is already more expensive than a ticket to go to Disney. So if they're gaining share, there's a part of me that thinks that it's because they're also charging more and they're just not getting called out for it the way that Disney is.
Interesting. You know what? Like, I work in radio, and one of the things that I've found interesting is like a morning show who curses and you know sets the bar at I'm the troublemaker. They can get away with anything. The ones that are like the soccer mom, like, morning show, like Dan and Diane in the morning, that kind of thing, they need to stay on par. And if they do the least bit of something wrong, people call them out for it, right? So I think maybe that's the universal Disney thing, is we've set that bar for Disney, or they've set it for themselves that says we're the ones that take care of you. We have cast members. You are our guests. These are things where, we've set the standard. And then if they do anything that's like nickel and diming, then we turn around and go, what are you doing? Because it's different from what we've heard from them before. I'm going to go to Pete on this next, but before, you can get your take on it first, and then we'll go over to Andy and then up to Charlie. But I do want to read this super chat from WDW Mickey that says, Universal wins. They love their APs. I mean, I know that my Universal AP was a lot cheaper than my Disney AP, and I also know that they do have a lot of little perks, buttons, magnets, things like that they do throughout the year, and it doesn't seem like as big a beating to go get your magnet at Universal as it does to get your magnet at Disney. Could just be me. But Pete, what are your thoughts on this whole thing, the whole is Universal gaining, etc.? You were talking about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so I will say this, is that, and for those who have been ParksCenter fans for a long time, thank you so much for watching, because if you watched me over the last 5 years, 4.5 years now, I, from the very first ParksCenters, would literally just tear apart Universal. I used to tear them apart. Since the pandemic, and I think that's very much the key word, is they have dramatically changed. And we talked about letting people back into the park sooner, the way they're handling things, but also the way they treated their cast members and their team members. Is that they kept them on. They didn't let people go. They let people keep their benefits. They let people their health insurance, which is a really big deal during a pandemic. And Disney didn't do that, which is really sad. Even all the way up to Imagineers. So a lot of people left the Disney company, whether it's on a small level, whether you're a ride operator, just someone who cleans a park or a hotel room. God bless you, because you keep the magic happening on all levels, and you deserve to be celebrated. But a lot of people left the Walt Disney Company and moved over to Universal because they just treated their people better when times got tough. And I think that was a major misstep in Disney's management procedures. It made me sad. But now we're seeing kind of how that worked out in Universal's favor. The entertainment is better. I think the parks are cleaner since the pandemic. I think the service is better. I think the quick service is better. The food, the rides, everything across the board. If I had to do something on a theme park level, unless it's designing a major attraction, on a day-to-day operation, I think Universal is beating Disney every day since the pandemic. And then Kamila makes a great point. It is more expensive. And I agree, people. I don't know how people afford to go to any park unless you're an annual pass holder, because it's insane to me, and I give you so much credit because that's crazy. But if you are a pass holder of both, it is a little bit cheaper at Universal. Do you get a little bit more? Yeah. Do they treat you a little bit better? Yes. So they're doing all the right things. They're moving in the right direction. For the out-of-state people and the people coming down once a year, it's rough. Also, look what Disney's doing. Disney had everyone in the palm of their hand. hey, we'll pick you up at the airport, never leave our place, and we'll drive you back. They got rid of that, and now people are like, well, wait, there's a lot of great theme parks at Universal. We never did, in Orlando, we never did Universal. We never did SeaWorld. We never did this. We never did that. We never did all these great attractions. Now that we have to book Ubers or rental cars or another transportation source, let's go check these places out. Everyone's talking about them.
Yeah.
So Disney, I just feel like they dropped the ball. It's going to be very interesting, and I have so much more I could say on this, but I know there's a lot of other panelists and time. But I'm just saying, I really feel like they're capitalizing on what's going on. And also, and this has been going on for a long time, when Disney budget cut Beastly Kingdom, you know where those Imagineers went? They went and built that amazing Harry Potter world, the very first one, which took off and really kicked Universal into the future. And now they have a second one, and there's a third one coming, Epic Universe. And what about all these other Imagineer layoffs that are going around here, Disney, everywhere else? Universal's like, hey, come with me and you'll see a world of pure
All right. So with yeah, and I'm seeing things in like So Right and Preach in the chat. So I think there are a lot of people that agree with you. But you know, Annie has been, whenever she comes on, she always gives us some little tidbits about Universal. I honestly feel she's probably the queen of Universal Orlando. Like, I think there's probably, absolutely, yeah. You know, she's helped me when we've talked about going on trips and things, and I think she's like, you know, obviously we know she likes Universal a lot and knows a lot about it and probably favors some things. But I want to ask Annie, you can comment on all the rest of the stuff we've been asking, but do you think that Epic Universe is going to be a huge step, or do you think that Epic Universe is just going to be just another add-on to what we're already seeing?
I think it's going to be a complete game changer. I think it's going to blow people's minds. I think people are going to come just for that. You know, the other parks, you know, Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Florida, they've been here. They get new things. They get updated and stuff. But this, we're talking a whole new park. I mean, when was the last time we had an entire new park? I mean, you know, we've got, you know, a couple new rides here and there all over, but an entire park, I mean, that's just, I can't wait. I can't even begin to wrap my head around it even.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's funny. In the past, you know, Pete, I'm like you. Like, I was all Disney all the time, and then Universal I would go, and there are things there I enjoy. I just would go for one day and be able to kind of do it all and feel like I was done, especially, you know, hit a couple of my favorites and whatever the new thing is and be done and not feel like I had to go back, you know, again and again. When I was in that mindset, it was always funny to me that they added Volcano Bay and called it their third theme park. And I'm like, so then Florida's Disney has 6 parks? Seven,
because Disney Springs, they call that a gate as well. 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. That makes sense. So, you know, I feel like now they're actually legitimately getting their third park. But, you know, Charlie, you're out in California where, you know, Universal Hollywood has taken some huge leaps, and they're about to take another huge leap with Super Nintendo opening up. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on all this?
I still don't see it as, at least in our area, I don't see it as gaining share on Disneyland. I mean, it's Disneyland. Like, come on. There's nobody who's gonna gain any kind of ground on Disneyland. Like, you can probably do better than you were, but you're still not gonna be within spitting distance of the happiest place on earth. Like, it's folly to say that you are, especially because, you know, Epic Universe out there, okay, maybe you drag people away for a couple 3 days to come and visit all those parks over there, but even at that, you know, all it's going to take is for Disney to open Villains Land or Encanto ride, and everyone's going to abandon Epic Universe to come right back. Like, it doesn't take much, you know. It's like a pittance for the king to do something small.
We planned Tron the year you were born. They have
I know,
so
and
much time for this.
That's the problem, is Universal is actually delivering on something versus Disney is like, we got all this blue sky, big blue sky. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. Something might happen.
I put in my journal, eventually. I hope my grandkids enjoy the Villains Land of the Magic Kingdom. because I don't even have kids
yeah.
yet. But if I do have kids and then they have grandchildren, they might get to enjoy it.
I think if they ever get through with anything, if they can just stop paring things down and actually do something and get a ride done for once, then maybe they can, stop losing ground to Universal. Like, I think Universal, the Monsters Land, like we talked about last time, I think they're waiting to see how that does and see how the adult section of tourists does. Like, if adults are going to be flying down to Florida to do this without kids because they want to go to the Monsters Land and the adult Harry Potter land and stuff, and not even care about the kids, I think that's going to be a big.
But don't you think Universal's always been a young adult park where kids and parents who are in those 11 to 21-year-old range have been going? Like, Disney's always, you could bring anyone from 13 and under, they'll love it. Teenagers might hit or miss. But Universal's always been that, like, 11 and older park. So this just feeds right into that.
It's going to work for them. It's going to work for Universal, but it's a matter of the adults coming down to Disney. Annie, go ahead, sorry.
But see, that's because the only way you can afford to go to Disney is if you stick your 11-year-old in a stroller. And they have to come to Universal. And it's affordable. Annual pass.
So let me make a correction. We said the last time that they had a new park in Florida was 1998, but in 1999 is when Universal's Islands of Adventure opened up. So Disney opened their last park in 1998 in Florida, and the California Adventure is even newer than that.
I mean, can I just have give me 40 seconds and mute me? But Universal wanted to beat Disney to the punch with having a park in Orlando that was a working studio. It was a big deal in the late 80s. People were coming to Orlando. They were coming to Florida. All the perks were there. It was like ready for Hollywood. And Eisner saw this coming in. Universal was literally building a studios, hence Universal Studios. We saw it happen with Nickelodeon and everything else, yada, yada, yada. But literally Eisner goes, I don't care what we have to do. We are opening before them. And I know you want to say it's going to open in 92 or 91 or 90. We are opening before Universal opens with whatever we have. Make it happen. And that is literally what he did. And we opened Disney Hollywood Studios in 89, which was a half-day park with a 2-hour studio tour with everything else. I have 5 seconds, but he made it happen. And he did that. And Eisner was a genius to do it, and he beat them to the punch. And now we have the Walt Disney World we know and love. Anyway, you know what happens after that. But I'm just saying. And now I'm done. I told you I just need 60 seconds.
So anyway, the whole idea of this, I think, discussion came up for me, not with the quote, but when people started talking about Epic Universe. And for those of you who are not familiar with Epic Universe, it's the third official Universal park that's coming in, I think at this point, 2025 maybe. And the rumored lands, because we talked about this on D23 Expo Review last week, is that Universal doesn't really tell you anything until it's almost done, as opposed to Disney is telling us about these lands that they're thinking about that may or may not happen until Pete's grandkids are around. So when you talk about Epic Universe, we're under the impression there's going to be a How to Train Your Dragons land, a Universal Monsters land, and any of y'all jump in and correct me, a Super Nintendo and another Wizarding World edition are the things that we've heard at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so the Super Nintendo part.
Oh, and How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, so How to Train Your Dragon, the Monsters, the Wizarding World, and the Super Nintendo. Those are the only ones I know of. So they're going to make this expansion. But here's the difference: is that at Disneyland, when you want to go from California Adventure to Disneyland Park, you just walk across the Esplanade, and you're park hopping. When you want to do that at Universal, it's the same thing. You either walk back and forth between Islands and Universal in Orlando, or you take the Hogwarts Express on the backside. Now, this is going to be the first time where they're actually looking like a Disney World style park, because this thing is not close by and they're putting a lot of other infrastructure and things in. Kamila, is this going to be confusing for people who are trying to book this trip? Are they going to make it super easy? What are your thoughts on that?
I think what's going to be really interesting is it's going to make the case for actually staying on property at Universal and not being able to get away with, I'll just spend one day there.
Okay, that's good.
Sorry, I was about to walk away, but she's totally right. But what no one's talking about is how Disney let this friggin' train go. That they don't have the Magical Express, and we all thought, all right, you're getting rid of the Magical Express because you're going to have a train that they're building. They have the speed train coming up. If you guys don't know, the Bright Line, whatever. Go read about it. It's all over WNT's website. But it was supposed to go, and it's coming up the coast, from the airport to stop at Disney and then continue to Tampa. And it was going to be great. And I was like, all right, that's what they're doing instead of the buses. Disney let this go, and now, do you know where the stop's going to be? Literally across the street from Epic Universe. So this train, which takes you from Miami, speed train, Fort Lauderdale, speed train, West Palm, Orlando Airport, across the street from Epic Universe, and then down to Tampa. They're geniuses. I don't know what they paid, but it is worth every single dollar. Disney should have paid for the whole train line to have all these people in Florida converging here, because now you have Tampa and Orlando airports dropping you off and making Florida basically a 2-hour state in any direction. I don't know what Disney was thinking, but this is genius by Universal. And the new station, if you look at the maps, is across the street from the new Epic Universe Park.
Well, and what else is interesting is something we talked about earlier, is that Disney used to have the Magical Express that was included in what you were doing, and they would just go drop you off at Disney, and it was kind of a pain to even think outside the box of how am I going to get to SeaWorld, Universal, all those other places. So there's another place where they've really dropped the ball in being able to kind of contain these trips and these vacations that people are doing. So go ahead, Kamila.
Speaking of magic, can we just acknowledge the fact that without the Wizarding World and without how well the Wizarding World turned out, we're not talking about Universal. And again, I feel like I'm coming from a place of the average guest, not the theme park super nerd, not the person that knows, all the Universal movies, E.T., whatever, just the average guest, right? What they know is Harry Potter. How do I get to Harry Potter? Which park has Harry Potter? That's what they care about. Without Wizarding World, Universal is not making these gains, and Disney is not concerned. And if I'm Disney, look, I'm one of those people that believes Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars Land, whatever, it exists because the Wizarding World exists, and it was so well done, right? And so if I'm Disney, I think it makes sense for them to wait and see what Epic Universe actually turns into. The thing I'm the most interested in is what's the Wizarding World over there going to look like, and then you kind of follow up. But let's not forget, Disney World is massive, right? It's still and will continue to dwarf anything Universal can do. And I just want to reiterate, the people that I see booking Universal, and you can absolutely spend a week at Universal, but they're doing it because Disney is completely full, right? All 30 plus resorts, there is literally no availability. So they're like, well, but Universal has it. And guess what? Universal also has really great promotions because they're trying to entice you to stay there. But they're doing that because they do have inventory that they want to get rid of. So, if I'm Disney, I'm still recognizing I'm the king of the hill and nobody is coming close. Universal is making gains. Absolutely. Let's acknowledge that. But let's not pretend, they're the same thing.
I don't think you're wrong at all. And I think you're completely on. I love your passion, and I love everything you're saying, because I feel like that was me on ParksCenter for the last 3 years. However, I am just afraid, and maybe I'm just turning into an old man, is that I'm looking to the future too much. Yes, right now we having a great time, but when it is 2024 and 2025, after the 50th is over, Tron is opened, Splash Mountain's still the same ride, but now we have Tiana, if Disney isn't planning something now, they are going to go into a major slump, because even if Universal isn't everything we want, right? Even if it's not super themed, which I'm afraid it's going to be because they've lost so many people to Disney. So basically they're just getting, and I'll say our, right? Because we're a Disney show. They're getting our best people who have left because Disney has forced them out. They don't pay them anymore. They made them move. They made them do this. I am just afraid that Disney's going to go, oh, shoot, now we have to go there. Now, granted, it's going to be great for me. I am a local. I have been telling everyone 2024 is our year. No lines. Everyone's going to be Universal. No one's spending $40,000 on a Disney vacation. We are going to have the best time. But that is, and I think you make all great points. I just think that Disney should have something, and I'm not saying they don't, but I'm a little concerned under current management, and especially after this D23, where they're like, here's a bunch of blue sky stuff, we'll see what sticks, which is great, and they throw out some cool ideas. But it's been nothing like, and if you follow Disney, past D23s where there's actual models or artwork or announcements, it's like, yeah, we're going to expand the Magic Kingdom. You should totally stick around and see what happens. That's what scares me, because Disney is literally pulling, Universal's literally pulling Disney people away, and I think that's what puts Universal over the top.
I think that there's a lot more, though, that whenever anybody does when they do a new thing, I think we talked about it earlier, like, if they make an Encanto treehouse in Disneyland, everybody who is a Disney fan is going to want to go back and see that. And when they added the Coco scene to PhilharMagic, I felt like now I had a reason again, not like I need one, but to go back again. So I think all these little things that Disney does, they've trained us at like the littlest thing, we're going to come back. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But I do want to throw one more caveat in and throw this to Charlie, is that there was another article that said Warner Brothers and Discovery could merge with NBC Universal. Well, right now in the Orlando parks, they have Marvel in Orlando for Islands, and they have Simpsons. They have two IP that are now currently owned by Disney. If they get Warner Brothers, they got DC. DC Comics, a Superman ride? Are you kidding me? A Batman ride? I mean, we see some of that stuff at Six Flags. Get ready, Six Flags. They're going to take all this stuff away, and they're going to put it at Universal, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know. It could happen. But, Charlie, what are your thoughts on this? And then you can, let us know what you've been very quiet, so let's go to you.
There was something going around several years ago before Super Nintendo World happened about a possibility of DC coming to Universal. So I know the wheels are turning. I've seen some of the sketches, and it looks like it's something that I'm really disappointed that never came to fruition. I think if that merger ever does happen, like the spot is now taken by Super Nintendo World and Transformers, but like I think what was there could have been really cool, and it would be really nice to have DC here and Marvel down at Disneyland and have the DC versus Marvel battle rage in real life. If that ever does happen, I mean, I think Universal really needs that shock of IP. Like, it's something that we're not really talking about at large, is that Universal's kind of hurting right now for popular IPs. Like, their Dark Universe fell flat, and Fast and Furious can't go on forever. Like, I know Vin Diesel doesn't have anything else really, but like at a certain point, it's not going to be fun anymore.
Please let it die.
Yeah, like when we get to Fast 15 and he's in the ECV, like I'm still going to see it, but like I'm not going to be happy about it,
Family forever!
I think, yeah, like they don't have much. Jurassic is over, and the Minions, I don't think are strong enough to bring everybody in the way some of these other properties are. So beyond that, they don't really have a whole lot to like base attractions on. And we're going for like what, Secret Life of Pets now? Like, yeah, it's popular, but it's I don't see them spinning a land out of that, except that they did, and it's super lame. But like, we need something. So I think bringing WB in, like, in the same way, like Disney kind of just used all of Pixar's stuff, and we had Star Tours, and finally it's just easier to buy you out than pay our bills. And so they just did it. And I think it's going to be the same way with Harry Potter, and then you get all the DC stuff, and there's plenty of Warner Brothers things to bring in that I think that's the shot in the arm Universal needs for further expansion. If they do want to keep this going, if they want to keep this upward trajectory, they're really going to need something like that to go. And I don't know where else they're going to go for it. So I kind of hope it happens.
Well, and
Bob
I think
Chapek just literally paid someone $10 billion as a lobbyist to make sure that Warner Brothers and Universal never merge.
No, not true. I think this is obviously we've run overtime tonight, but I think this is obviously just the beginning of this conversation as we get closer to Epic Universe, as we get closer to seeing how Disney handles things, and if they continue to sell out at Disney, or if all of a sudden all of these upgrades and things that they've done, as far as upcharges that they've done, start to backfire on them as the world starts to open up, as we've seen with some of the Asian countries recently, and if people start to travel outside the country more, will that dip into all this overpopulation in the Disney parks? I feel like it might. So definitely this is a conversation we'll continue to have in different ways, shapes, and forms, so I appreciate you guys doing it. I want to get final thoughts from each of you, but I want to say thank you to everyone for watching tonight. And again, I know we've kind of gone over here, but I feel like it's all been good conversation. Good friends, good people. It's been great. We do want to say thank you so much to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS. You guys are the best. That is our WDWNT Interglobe Society. If you want to learn more about it, check it out on patreon.com/WDWNT. Learn all about it. We have post shows, including we'll have a short post show right after this one tonight. I've got a couple little topics that I think that are perfect for our WIGS members to talk about. Paycheck. And then after that, right? But don't forget, we've got a lot of other great programming on WDWNT TV, including we've got Disney Entertainment News Today on Tuesday, Deep in the Plus on Wednesday. Thursday night is the News Tonight, and Friday Boxed In, and then back here for ParksCenter most Sundays, but not next week, because next week is the big event, the WDWNT
Fun Day
40th
Epcot,
anniversary
baby.
celebration for Epcot. Yep. So no ParksCenter next week because there'll be other programming available. So again, check it out, events.wdwnt.com. But let's get final thoughts. We'll start with, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Carney, because I feel like we're going to have to pull the hook on you at some point. And, the chat's been saying...
I talked way too much, so I'll try and keep
40
this very
seconds,
short.
no.
I know, yeah, 30 seconds or less. Go.
One bite.
I'm so excited and be happy. All right, am I starting now? All right.
Mm-hmm.
I am very excited and so happy to be back on ParksCenter. You know how much I love you guys, and it's so great to see this entire audience. I think Rob's doing a great job, and I'm just so honored to be a part of this panel with everybody else here, and they're doing an amazing job. I don't want to talk about the parks, but seriously, thank you for supporting Disney programming and just Disney stuff. I think it really matters, and I think that having this discussion and hearing different personalities and perspectives on different Disney news and Universal and everything else is very important. So I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate everybody else here on the show, and I appreciate Rob and everyone else who does stuff like this every single week. So with that being said, I really appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Also, I have a YouTube channel that's like this, and I just love everybody, and couldn't be more excited to be here. Thanks.
I got to tell you, man, that logo, Chef's Kiss, that is a fantastic logo that you have there. Oh my gosh, it is so good. Look at you. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to get to my mailbox to see that residual check. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. It's all good.
4 cents I mailed out 2 days ago.
Yeah. Oh no. But we appreciate having you, my friend, and thank you for coming back and talking with us, and thanks so much. So, let's go to Annie. Annie, final thoughts on the night.
All right, good. We don't have time for all my final thoughts, so I'll try to keep it short. But the thing is that, Universal is a lot easier of an experience than Disney anymore. It's more relaxed. People go and I don't see the stress that I see at Disney. The Disney people that are, dropping to their knees and crying because they can't get a boarding group or they can't get on a ride and things like that. And I've seen Universal, they had a little bit of that with Hagrid's and with the virtual line, but they don't really do the virtual line anymore. So I feel like they listen to people. They sell annual passes. You don't need reservations. I mean, I don't got to sell you on Universal. You already know it's better. I mean, I love Disney, but I got to say that the stress, the people at Universal, I hear saying they're enjoying themselves. They didn't know that it was so great over there. And at Disney, I hear the fighting, the families that don't leave, they leave and they're not families anymore, or they've got a felony or something like that. But just saying, Universal real relaxed, and they don't.
I think you've gone beyond the sale at this point. I think, yeah, exactly. I think you've gone beyond the sale.
She's a primary stockholder for sure. Unbelievable.
I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked, and we buy it every time she comes on because of, again, very similar. The passion she has for Universal is infectious. So thanks for being on. And Kamila?
Yeah, I mean, I will just say I absolutely think the Universal parks and resorts offer a really nice day, and I think it's absolutely something you should consider. I think you could absolutely get off the plane at MCO, head to Universal, and stay there for a week and never have a reason to leave, and you would have a really nice trip. And I think it's absolutely true from a logistics perspective. There's a lot of hoops you wouldn't jump through. And so I think everyone should try that. And Universal runs really good promotions right now. They have one where you pay for 2 days of tickets and you literally get 2 days of the same types of tickets absolutely free. And unlike Disney, where it's based on availability and rooms, at Universal, you just add it to the package. So I think there's a lot to explore when it comes to staying at Universal. They have a lot to offer. I still think Disney has an it factor, and there's a reason that people go through the pain they go through to go to Disney. I think there's a reason they spend what you spend to go to Disney. As many times as they try to steer people away from the contemporary, they want to stay there. And so, I'm excited that Universal's making gains. I think competition is good, and we only should benefit from this.
That's a great point. Like we should all benefit from the fact that they're fighting. It's not like either of these parks are going to get shut down or run out of business, but the harder that they fight for our business.
High tide, baby. Everybody wins. Let's go.
Oh man, I've been waiting all night for this final wrap up from Charlie. So God bless you, man. Let's make it happen.
I'm actually going to be really calm. Something Annie said that kind of struck me. I didn't realize it. There are a lot of crying families at Disneyland that I don't see at Universal out here. Like, it was something that I noticed a lot when we didn't have the tram of, like, there were a lot of families having, like, serious breakdown arguments on the tram walk when you had to walk that from the parking lot into downtown Disney. Like it's 8:15 and you're already not going to go to Disneyland because you're ready to go home, and like dragging kids by the elbow, they're screaming. And like, I do see that a lot. And it's always bothered me, like as a parent, you have your kid here at the park, be it Universal or Disney or just, out at dinner, whatever. Like, your kid is very small and they're trying their best, and now they're having a miserable day, and it's like 8:15 in the morning and they're already upset about things because they're being yelled at. And I think that may be just like a cultural thing. Like, let's everybody just be a little more chill to their kids. And I could probably the same way, but just that'll be my final thought for the day is if you're going to any theme park, be a little more chill to your kids and let them have a good time.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you guys again for this panel, for you guys spending all of your night with us, and for you guys watching. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up so people can find the video, and don't forget to catch all the programming. And again, events.wdwnt.com for the celebration of 40 years of EPCOT. We're hoping that everybody stays safe. I know a lot of y'all are in Florida, so with this hurricane coming, please be safe, be cautious, be well, and we will see you guys next time.
Sivako, baby. Bum, bum, bum,